Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, this is the time of the week when I use a tarot spread to delve into topics related to living an intentional life. And this week, as always, the tarot spread has been laid, so let's dive right in. These are beautiful decks, aren't they? In fact, there are 5 decks here. Did you know that? There are Soul Cards 1 and Soul Cards 2 combined. Also, the Jonasa Jaus 6th edition tarot, the jumbo and the medium size, and inquiry cards. And if you're curious about these decks, there will be a little bit of information at the end of the video and links below to get if you're interested in purchasing any of the cards that are still available. Unfortunately, the Jonasa Jaus 6th edition is pretty much sold out, but you can get the mini size of that, I believe, and the soul cards are readily available on Amazon. Inquiry cards are also available, and they're a wonderful deck. They help me to create or to discover questions that I might not otherwise have asked. So, friends, we have the tarot spread. You've gotten a peek of the full layout. Let's look at the first line of soul cards and see what they have to say for us. So these are the soul cards. And remember, these cards do not have names. They don't have numbers. They don't have any prescribed meanings to them. This deck is used for intuitive reading, purely intuitive reading. So the reader looks at the cards and sees what the image says to them. And I'm not going to be reading them in exact order. I'm not going to be reading them from left to right in sequence. What I see in this line of 5 cards is the first 3 cards saying one part of the message and the last 2 cards giving us the final conclusion, perhaps, if you will. So let's look at the first 3 cards. And in this trinity of cards, the center card of the 3 is the main message to me. And what is that? You see a person looking down with light radiating from inside. And what I get from this is that the intentional life is internal work. We may think of it as things I'm going to do, people I'm going to meet, a job that I'm going to get, a house I'm going to move into, an artistic endeavor that I'm going to complete, a relationship that I'm going to either form or improve. Things that we feel are exterior to us, on the outside, our environment. However, this card is reminding us that living an intentional life is internal work. It's a work of self-inquiry, because the contents that we want to manifest into the world are not coming out of nowhere. They're coming from within us. Everything that manifests into the world is something that comes from us. We think it all comes at us, and a lot of times it feels like the world is coming at us. But what we are experiencing in the world is a reflection of what we are experiencing within. And actually, there really is no separation. There is no real internal and external world. It is all one experience. But when we think of us and object, they are a reflection of each other. So what happens internally, what we are experiencing internally, is reflected back to us in our external experience. So when we do internal work, when we look within to discover what lies there, what do we want to nourish, what do we want to grow, what do we want to make manifest in the world, we find that within the light. and within the shadows, within ourselves. We also want to look for things that we don't want to manifest within the world. We don't want to give them attention. We don't want to look at them and pick them apart and focus all of our attention on those things that we do not think we want. Because giving energy to them is almost like saying, yes, let's make that happen. The more we say no to something, the more we are saying yes to it in the world. Because it's not the yes or the no, it's where the attention is placed. So, when we discover things within ourselves that perhaps we actually do not want, we don't want to experience internally or externally, we want to be able to, one, recognize them, see them, and then allow them to move out of our experience, whatever that takes. And it could take work. It takes some attention to move through things. But oftentimes what we do is one of two things. We keep talking about it internally or with other people, and we increase its power. Or we repress it, hide it away in the shadows so that we don't have to see it. And in that way, we also increase its power. Yeah? Power can be increased by giving it direct attention or by the pressure we place on it. However, if we can acknowledge whatever it is, a painful experience, a heartbreak, depression, if we can acknowledge it and let it flow out. Now, it's not perhaps going to be a one-time job, yeah? The internal work is a process. We want to acknowledge the things that we don't particularly want to be carrying around with us, and as often as possible, let them flow back out. Let them flow through. Let them flow by. And give our attention, the largest part of our attention to the things that we do want to flourish. The good qualities that we have and the good qualities that we expect and hope for in the future. So this is the internal work. And one wonderful teacher of the work is Byron Katie, who wrote a book and talks a lot about the work. And I'll try and put a link below if you're interested in finding out what Byron Katie has to say. She is a very beautiful and simple teacher. So, the internal work. We look within and we see what is there. Now, the two cards on the side remind us of often how we are misinterpreting our experience. One is, we often feel like we are sending ourselves, we are sending our spirits or our minds out into the future, out into space to look around for things that we want. We think that we are envisioning things that are outside of us. The truth is, nothing is outside of us. There is no outside. Another experience is that we feel like Spirit is telling us to look this way or to go over there. But this is partially true, but partially a little bit confused, because Spirit is not some other thing. It's not some disconnected voice or entity which is speaking to you from time to time. Spirit is you. You are Spirit. You are the fullness of Spirit. You are that higher self. When you are aligned with your higher self, you hear yourself much more clearly. When I am aligned with my higher self, I hear myself much more clearly. This is true for all of us. So that guidance that we get is not guidance from the outside. It's not guidance from some other entity. It's guidance from within. It's guidance from the fullness of us. Of us. And it's that interaction of the mind that is more clearly focused in this physical world and the fullness of ourselves, which is broader, if you will, grander, wider, eternal. That interaction of us with us is what we feel is spirit talking to us, or us going out into the world. And it's all I'll continue saying an internal job, but remember, there is no inside or outside. It's all happening within us. Our experience of the universe is happening within us. And that is what living an intentional life is based on knowing that you are, I am, we are all flowing with the stream of our own intention, because it's all happening within us. That stream, that powerful current of intention is here in us. And the question is, how connected are we, or how disconnected are we? How much are we allowing ourselves to move with it, or how much are we constricting ourselves within that stream and sinking and preventing ourselves from moving with it? So it's an internal job. It's internal work. And the next two cards show us that there are two ways of perceiving this internal work. Sometimes we believe, and others may perceive for us, that what we are doing seems like a hermit holding an old dead branch or a tree in a cave somewhere. Because it is internal work. It is the work of the hermit, investigating within. And it may seem like something that is not all that exciting or miraculous from the outside. However, the next card shows us that what may appear to be a hermit in a dark cave is actually a magician in the world, in a universe of their own creating, holding a magical rod, full of color, full of vibrancy, full of diversity, full of magic and wonder. When we are doing that internal work to be able to fully take advantage of the power of intention, we are doing the work of a magician. We are doing the work of a wizard or a witch or a magical being in a colorful, rainbow-filled universe with a rod of power magically creating our universe, energetically creating our universe, which will manifest into what appears to be an external world. That is living an intentional life. That is a very important aspect of living life intentionally. So friends, from this we have three questions. Let's look at the first question and the two tarot cards which respond to that question. The first card is, what is true for me? What is true for you? Well, there are many things that are true for us. And the topic that we are guided to with these two cards is a little bit around preservation and protection and perhaps even greed. The first card reminds us that sometimes what is true for us might not be all roses, rainbows, and flowers. Sometimes what is true for us is that we are protective of our resources because we see ourselves in a limited universe with resources that are also limited. We see ourselves as being in a universe where there are pieces of pie that are divided and shared, and some people get a big piece, some people get a very small piece, some people get no piece, and you've got to protect what you get. That's one way of looking at the universe. And if that's the way you're looking at the universe, that is the universe you will be experiencing. Because, again, the universe, our experience in what appears to be an external world, is a reflection of our internal world, what appears to be an internal world, our attitudes and our beliefs. So, we are often protective of the resources we have. Be they time, be they money, be they physical material things like houses and cars, be they relationships, other people. Are we protective of our relationships, afraid that some other entity will encroach in our relationships? What is true for us is often we are protective of that which is ours, what we think of as ours. And that can be a very limiting way of perceiving resources, a very limiting way of perceiving who we are and where we are and what we have. And it can also prevent us from living an intentional life, a fully intentional life. So the next card reminds us that, we are the world. We are the world. The world card. The world card is a reminder of the Orphic egg. Do you know what an Orphic egg is? Let me show you what that is. So this is an Orphic egg. It's a very old symbol for the creation of either the universe or the first God. The Orphic egg is the beginning of everything. So this card is reminding us that we are the beginning of our experience, of our world. We are the beginning of our life experience in this universe. We are pregnant with our experiences. Everything which we will experience is coming from us into the world. So there is no need to be so protective of our resources. We don't need to be so protective of what we have, because we are constantly giving birth. And if we allow things to leave our experience when it is time, be they money, people, cars, houses, whatever it is, if we allow them to leave rather than clutching to them, there are two things that will happen. One, they might actually stick around a little longer than they might otherwise. The more we grab onto something, the more there is an opposite reaction of wanting to move away. We create tension. So if we allow things to be as they are, we will often find that a lot of the resources that we have will stick around longer. And if we allow the things that, when it's time for them to leave, the more space we will have for new to come in, for new birthing to happen. So, what is true for me? What is true for me is sometimes I protect myself a little bit too much. Sometimes I protect my possessions, my resources too much. And when I realize that I am the birther of my resources, I am much more open. I am more free to live intentionally. Let's look at the next question and the responding cards. Isn't it funny? The next question that flowed from the topic of protectiveness is, what if I didn't worry? It's a natural question to flow from that. So what if we didn't worry? What if you didn't worry? What would you be if you didn't worry? Do you worry? If you said no, I'm having a little trouble believing you. We all worry a little bit. Worry is common for the human experience. Some of us were taught to worry. I know my grandmother and my mother taught me many things. And one of the things that they did teach me was how to worry and what to worry about. Yeah, my grandmother lived in the time of the Depression, and it was a difficult time for her. She also got divorced right at the beginning of the Depression, so it was an even more difficult time for her. And so it's completely understandable. It's completely understandable that she lived a life that was in some way colored by worry. And she passed a lot of that worry on to her children. And so my mother received that and passed it on to me a little bit. She tried not to. She really, really tried not to. But when we try not to do something, when we try not to show something to our children, we're showing it to our children in the negative aspect. So I inherited a little bit of worry too. So what if I didn't worry? Would I turn into an idiot who will walk off of a cliff and kill myself? I don't think so. That's not the point of worry. Worry doesn't help us in any way. Being observant helps us. Being clear in our perceptions of where things are going and being able to analyze, well, this is going well, that is not going well, it helps us. It helps us to make choices and to direct where we're going to move. However, worrying about them does not. It drains us of energy that we could so much more productively use in other ways. It also drops an anchor into our river of intention, slowing us down. So what are the two responding cards here? The first one is the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Oros, Five of Diamonds. And the card looks like there's a lot of rain. There's a lot of emotion flowing down, and it doesn't look like happy emotion. It doesn't look like sunshine and rainbows. It looks like tears. It looks like a downpouring of tears. And usually the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Coins in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, is a card of despair, lacking resources, a very worrisome card. So what if I didn't worry? The Five of Pentacles, or the Five of Coins, I should say, the Five of Diamonds in this deck, it's not a card of worry. The creator sees it as overflowing with water, an abundance card, which is completely the opposite, different from the first interpretation that I placed onto the card. So if I didn't worry, if I saw that rain not as something that is going to drench me and weigh me down and perhaps even drown me, if I saw that rain as something that is going to nourish me and that is a source of abundance, my attitude would completely change. If I didn't worry, I could experience the abundance of the world. I could experience the abundant resources that are all around me if I will observe them. It's a card of the heart opening, according to the creator. The heart opens and solutions are discovered. When we worry, when we focus on the problems, we don't allow the solutions to come in. When we can put our worry aside and open up, we have much more access to solutions coming to us from within and from above and from all directions of our internal existence. If we didn't worry, we would notice the abundance around us and we would be open to solutions. which leads us to the next card, the Ace of Coins, the Ace of Diamonds. This is the card of discovering resources, of discovering energy, of discovering new approaches to doing things, new opportunities. So, if we don't worry, what do we get? We get the realization that we can remain open to solutions, and that solutions are there. If we are open, there are new discoveries of resources, new discoveries of energy that is not wasted on doing things like worrying. New discoveries of approaches, different ways of looking at and working with things that we think of as problems, because honestly, a lot of what we call problems are actually our learning experiences, ways that we grow both height, width, in wisdom, in understanding, in experience, in abilities. We grow in so many ways when we work with things that we consider to be problems. And we can't do that if we're worrying about them. Have you had the experience of when you were worrying about something and suddenly there's a flash of insight? What do you think? Did that flash of insight come to you in your worry, or at the moment that you broke open, you revealed yourself from within the worry and was able to receive it? I'd be willing to venture that the insight came when you let yourself open. And that's what these cards are telling us about worry. We can let it go, and we can let ourselves open. And that is living an intentional life. Because again, worry closes us off to power. And we want to remain open. Let's look at the third question and see what the responses are. Remember that second card of the 5 soul cards at the top? The person looking within. Remember that as we ask this question. How can we shine more brightly? Because that internal work, looking at the light from within, that is shining brightly. And how can I shine more brightly? How can we shine more brightly? How can we let this light, which is within all of us, even when we are in what we call the pits of despair, there is light within that we are unable to feel, perhaps unable to recognize, but it's there. There is light. And when we are able to shed our depression, when we are able to rise from our depression, we discover it again. It's not created anew. It's always been there. We discover it again. We allow it to shine more brightly. So how can we shine more brightly? Because it's that bright light that helps us to become the magical creators of our existence in an intentional life. How can we shine more brightly? The first answer is the 2 of Cups, a perfect answer. The 2 of Copas. Realizing that we are learning how to love. Do you ever feel like, yeah, I've got this love thing down, I know what I'm doing? If you've ever felt that, think again. Because yes, we are love. We are love. Love is not, we do love, sure. We do love. We interact with love. But the actual love itself is what we are. We are love. Before we were born into these bodies, we are love. After we leave these bodies, we are love. We are love. The divine creator, whatever you want to call, the universal mind, God, Gaia, whatever you want to call, the great consciousness in which this universe exists, is love. That is love. The divine is love. And that love is always evolving. With every birth, with every step of evolution, that love is also evolving. And we are evolving in love. Our essence is evolving. Involving, yes, we are involving. And as we involve ourselves, we evolve. Our love evolves. So how can we shine more brightly? By realizing we are evolving. By realizing that we are doing the inner preparation for our light to shine more brightly. When we were born into our baby bodies, we were shining very brightly. Certainly. But we lacked some skills to perhaps use that light, to shine that light with direction, with intention. We were just radiating it everywhere. But to be able to direct that love into creation, we needed to go through some processes of figuring out how to do that within these bodies, within what we think of as this external world. Like the dance I'm doing? So we learned to do that. And as we learned to do that, some of that, we gained experiences which kind of covered that light. And we've had hurts that also put up layers between us and others. So our light dimmed a little bit. We've put filters in front of our light, walls in front of our light. And what we want to do is to let it shine more brightly and let it evolve. By knowing that as we trust in the light that we are and the love that we are, we will evolve and shine more brightly. And the card right next to it, also a perfect response, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Bastos. The card of independence, the card of creativity, enjoying living a creative life. As we allow our light to shine, to evolve, our love to grow, the more we enjoy living our creative lives, because our love is the energy behind, within, and that carries forward our creation in the world with the powerful current of intention. So how can we shine more brightly? We can shine more brightly by allowing ourselves to enjoy being the creators that we are, independent of other creators who are also enjoying creating the worlds that they are creating. We are always co-creating, certainly. We are always co-creating. This universe is a co-creative event. However, we are also independent as our own shiner of light in this universe. We are independent creative beings working with other independent creative beings within a unity that is beyond imagining. Because as we are independent, we are also unable to disassociate, because we are completely united in one. And if you can wrap your head around that one, you're doing very well. Because it's true, it is true. We are independent within this absolute unity of the oneness of all. And that is the game of this physical universe. That is the joy of this physical universe. The exploration, the interest, the brilliance, the magic of this physical universe. So friends, what do you think? Can you see how living an intentional life is an internal job? Discovering what is true for us. Allowing ourselves to move past and let things like worry go. And allowing our light to shine ever more brightly, to evolve ever more brightly, to allow our love to expand always. That is living an intentional life. And if you can do that, that is wonderful. And if you don't find yourself not doing it at the present moment, that is wonderful. This isn't a reason to criticize yourself for not getting it right. You never get it wrong. You never get it wrong. I never get it wrong. We never get it wrong because we never stop. We never end. There is no conclusion that we're reaching for. We're evolving. We are growing. We are becoming. And all of those judgments that we place on ourselves that, oh, I'm worrying again, I'm doing it wrong. Oh, I'm depressed again, I'm doing it wrong, are unnecessary and useless. And so is judging yourself for judging yourself. That is just as useless. Oh no, I'm judging myself for thinking that I'm doing it wrong. Also useless. Every time those things pop up for us, it's a time to look at them, like that first card, to look at them, to see those judgments that are popping up within our light and allowing them to pop away, flow away. And one of the best tools for that is meditation, learning to live mindfully. So friends, what do you think? Does this mean anything to you? Can you relate to this? If you can, I'd love to hear about it. So, tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Where does it not resonate for you? Is there anything you feel doesn't make sense for you? I'd like to talk about that too. Maybe it'll give me an idea for another video. And friends, if you feel like hitting that like button, subscribe if you want to get notifications for when I upload videos. Also remember to hit the alarm bell. Share this with anyone you think might get benefit from it. That would be wonderful. And comment below. I really would appreciate that. And also remember, in just a moment, the creators of the cards will appear right before your eyes, so you can find out who made these beautiful cards. And there will be a link below if you can get some of these cards. Again, soul cards I think are available, and the inquiry cards are still available. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.